Hi there, Dan Northcutt here with the American Dream Company. Today I want to talk to you about the condition of the home that you're going to sell and also about the possibility of doing some staging. Both of these I think go hand in hand because the condition of the home and staging both help the buyers with their first impression of the home. It kind of sets the stage, how they feel about that home initially when they see it. And I can't tell you how important first impressions are to home buyers. Frequently I go into a home with a home buyer and they make a decision whether or not they want to buy a house within 15 minutes. I would venture to say that that decision is probably made in 15 seconds. I'm not kidding, 15 seconds, but then the person spends the next 14 hours and 45 seconds convincing themselves that this really is the house, or they try to convince themselves this isn't the house, but they can't do that. And next thing you know, they want to make an offer on that house. It's the condition and the staging. It's that initial first impression that they get when they see the house. And that goes all the way up to the point that when they first pull up in front of the house, when they look across the street, they go, wow, look at that, I like that. There's a feeling that a buyer gets. And that feeling in every buyer is different. But that feeling, it hits on many levels, I think, of a buyer. Sometimes it helps them feel secure. They're looking for the security, safe and secure. They may like the way it looks. It might remind them of their childhood. But here's something that's just critically important. It's the feeling that the house was well maintained. What's going to make it feel well maintained? Well, being well maintained, of course, right? But it's going to be any deferred maintenance is taken care of. There is no deferred maintenance. You don't see things that have been left unkept. There's no projects that have been put off. You know, the paint is in good shape. The yard is in good shape. It's you know, the lawn is trimmed. The bushes are trimmed. There's no weeds. It tells a buyer that the seller cares about the house and they've taken good care of the house. So they see things on the surface, on the outside of the house, on the inside of the house. They see the counters, the walls, the floors. They can't see in the walls. They can't see the plumbing, the electrical work, the things that can be very, very expensive. They have no idea, even if they go look at the furnace, what kind of condition the furnace is in, or the air conditioning, or any of the appliances. You can't tell on the initial inspection, or the initial time that you see a home, but you get a good feeling. And when a buyer gets that good feeling, they can't find a reason not to buy it. It helps them to move forward. So I was sitting here going through the MLS, and I saw a couple samples of homes that both demonstrate a house that is in good shape, and very quickly I can tell you just you know, looking at the pictures, and you do this too as a home buyer or even as a home seller. You go through the MLS, you know, through Realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, some of these other websites, or you can go onto our website and do some home searches, and you'll be able to take a look at some great pictures of homes that are available in the area that help you get an idea of what your home is really worth. But I can tell you right off the bat, here's a really good example of a home that is in good condition. It at least appears to be. We don't know, we're looking at pictures, but it appears to be in great condition. It has, for the most part, a brand new kitchen. Okay, now I've seen flips, I've seen homes with brand new kitchens that are not in good shape, but this one looks like it's in great shape. Has new backsplash, countertops, cabinets, recessed lighting, new paint, floors brand new appliances. It looks beautiful. It's hard to beat. And we'll talk about marketing in a different video, but I can tell you that it looks like they probably use a professional photographer. It makes a big difference. The lighting is absolutely critical. So I'm going through these pictures. Now the outside of this house, my first impression would have been, it's a little dull. They have, looks like maybe new sod, but the paint's a little old. Does have new windows. The roof, it looks a little bit old, but it looks like it's in good enough shape. I would have recommended maybe putting some color in the front, maybe some pots with some flowers, or maybe even plant some flowers in the front just to give it a little pop, you know, to add some color to get that first impression up. But other than that, the place is in good shape. New windows, doors, paint, looks great. Another part of having a good first impression is the way it smells. Just looking at the photos, I'm thinking it might even smell a little bit like fresh paint. Not the best smell in the world, but it sort of helps with that clean feeling. Oh, and speaking about clean, I don't think there's anything more important than having a really, really clean house. It helps with that first impression. It helps with that feeling that this house has been well maintained. So going through some more of the photos on this really nice sample, I don't see anything that I would really jumps out at me as being bad. They staged it very nicely. They had a professional staging company come in. They did a great job. Stagers know this really well, where they will put the right amount of furniture in an area and not overdo it. Sometimes you see people overdo it with furniture, and it makes the area look cluttered or too small. Another thing is the countertops. Countertops in kitchens, you want to have pretty much vacant, so that whether it's true or not, you want a buyer to think to themselves, oh, there's plenty of space, plenty of counter space, because a lot of times people like to entertain, or maybe they have more than one cook in the family, and you can find 2 or 3 people in the kitchen. Everybody needs a little space to do some work. So in this one, the countertops are clean. There's no, one of my pet peeves is when people have kitchen towels hanging all over the place. I mean, people are living in a lot of these homes, and I get that. You're going to live there, but when it comes time to take pictures for that first impression, pull them down. Help the buyer to see the kitchen and not the kitchen towels. So this is a good example. Not a lot to say about that. I think it's probably more important to look at a bad sample, and there's a lot of them in the MLS. But here's the first impression I get. I'm looking at this picture. What I see first is cars in the driveway, cars on the street. What it tells me first is the agent was too lazy to ask someone to move their cars. It's probably the agent's car in the front, but it completely takes away from the house. I want to see the house. I don't want to see the vehicles. What this picture tells me is there's not enough parking in this neighborhood, because there's cars all over, and they couldn't even take a picture without cars being stuck in front of this house. So I'm not liking this house. The grass was not mowed. There's furniture outside of the house, so they were probably in the process of moving out. Maybe it's an estate situation. But if the house isn't ready to take pictures, don't take pictures. If you're ready to take pictures, you want to get a move on, move the furniture before you take the pictures. It's going to take a couple of minutes, but make a big difference. So I'm seeing an agent was telling me there's agents taking a shortcut. There's sellers taking shortcuts. They're just trying to rush this. They're not really taking great care of the place. I don't know if that's true or not. These sellers could have taken great care of their house. It's just that feeling I get. I'm putting myself in the buyer's shoes, okay? To help you understand, as a seller, what a buyer is looking for. So I'm a buyer. I'm looking at this, whether consciously or subconsciously, I'm thinking to myself, it's not well maintained. The grass is grown over, the paint on the exterior of the house. It's good most areas, but there's the trim work that looks pretty dull in some areas, and in the shady areas you can see it's darker. It really could have been touched up. It wouldn't have cost a lot to touch that paint up. Okay, I haven't even gotten inside the house yet. Now I'm going in with the photos. Again, it looks like a project. It looks like somebody was working on this house. There's card tables all over the place. There's stuff piled on top of it. It was not ready for photographs. It wouldn't have taken that much more time to move everything out of the area before they started taking pictures. But they didn't do that. And as a result, what I'm looking at is, instead of seeing the spacious room, I'm looking at the stuff. And it's not great. The lighting's horrible. There's so much light coming in the window. The guy or gal, I don't know who listed this house, but they probably used their cell phone to take the pictures. They're horrible. This is awful, because this is a $600,000 house, and some agents trying to make a commission on this and really taking shortcuts and doing their seller a real disservice. This picture is out of focus. I don't know if they were moving. Moving the camera. Awful. This room I'm looking at, it looks like a bedroom. What I see as a buyer, I see stains on the ceiling. That's really bad. As a buyer, if I see stains, automatically I've got a yellow flag in my mind thinking, oh no, the roof must leak, right? If the roof doesn't leak now, it has leaked in the past. What else is wrong? That's my thinking. What else is wrong? I can see that there's been roof leaks, which tells me that the seller allowed the roof to get into the condition where it started to leak. They should have replaced it before it leaked, right? A well-maintained house would have had a roof replaced before it started to leak. The carpet is in really bad shape. The paint is awful. It looks like maybe an estate sale, like I said. They've moved the furniture, most of it, out of this room, and then you can see that it's almost like they painted around the furniture, or maybe the furniture that was there so long, there's some sun damage, but overall, it just looks like a very unkept home, and it's dirty. Dirty is bad. Dirty is very, very bad. It puts that thought in a buyer's mind that it wasn't well kept, it wasn't maintained, and it was allowed to be dirty. What else is wrong? If I can see it being in this bad a shape, what's the plumbing like? What's the electric like? What's the furnace like? What's the appliances? What's all that stuff that we already know? There's question marks in my mind about the roof. Bad shape. You know what? They could have spent $300 on the carpet, painted, and it would look great. It's a nice house. It's got nice rooms. Next bedroom, same thing. Looks awful. There's wires and stuff hanging all over the place. Most of these rooms are vacant, and there's some old, dingy window coverings. Go ahead and pull them off. The place is vacant. It doesn't make it look any better by having old, 30 or 40-year-old dingy window coverings. They look horrible. But it's a great house, great rooms, nice windows, hardwood floors. There's a lot going for it. It needed just a little bit more work, and they probably could have made a lot more money. I can guarantee you that. So the carpet looks horrible, going through the pictures. Now, I'm looking at a bathroom. It looks like an upgraded bathroom. It's shiny, clean. That looks great. Now, if they could have brought the rest of the house up to that standard, I think they would have done well. Now, I'm looking kitchen. Whew, man, it needed some work. Backyard, it looks like they haven't watered the grass in, 5 years. It looks horrible. It's dirt. And the patio needed paint. I'm thinking that it was just not a well-maintained home. And because of that, it's already been on the market for 75 days. They've already come down $40,000 in their price. So they listed it about the time school was starting, and they tested the market at the high end, which was a huge mistake because clearly it didn't work. They've already come down $40,000. When that first impression, that first look, when new listings, that's what buyers are looking at. This new listings, that's their opportunities. If it's a good one, if it's priced well, it's going to sell fast. This one should have been sold a long time ago, but they made the first mistake, pricing it wrong. Second mistake, the condition of the home is horrible. I think for about $5,000 or $6,000, they could have made this place look really nice. It could have looked like somebody cared, and I think that it would have sold probably about where it's listed at now, and yet it's sitting on the market, and it's going to sit there until they come down a lot more. I'll bet it ends up going down $25,000 before it sells. And like I said, if they'd have spent $5,000 or $6,000, it would have been sold already, and at the price that it's at now. So some big mistakes right off the bat. Testing the market. There's almost never a good time to test. There is a time, but the market we're in right now in the fall of 2016 is not the time to test the market with the highest possible price. You want to price it properly. You've seen my video on that probably. If not, take a look at that. It's on my website, AmericanDreamCompany.com. Go to sellers, check out the pricing because that's critical. You got to price properly. Got to do that. And then condition of the home. Remember, clean is super, super important. Declutter. Take the stuff off the refrigerator. Take the pictures of the family down. You're going to sell anyhow. You're going to be packing. Start packing up. Make the home seem bigger by getting rid of some furniture that makes it look crowded. Countertops, clear them off. Bathrooms, kitchens, clear them off as much as possible, and make sure that it meets all of our senses pleasantly. So make sure it looks good, make sure it sounds good. Fix those squeaks, those funny noises that the furnace makes. When the sliding glass door opens and closes, if it has a squeak, fix it. So it's got to look good, sound good. It's got to smell good. If there's any funky smells, any pet odor, find a way to get rid of it. And then when it comes to doing upgrades like paint, some carpet, scraping ceilings, texturing, that's where I think not every house needs that. And I don't want to see my sellers spend money that they don't need to sell their home. And at the same time, if they can spend $5,000 or $6,000 and make an extra $25,000 or $30,000, it's a no-brainer, especially when it helps the home sell quicker, because people don't always realize that when you sell a home quicker, or if it sits on the market for an extra 2 months, there's carrying costs with that. You know, you might have a mortgage that you're continuing to make, taxes, insurance, so there's more costs involved. So there's a lot more to it than simply selling, testing it, selling it 3 months down the road. Remember, there's costs in that 3 months. So a lot more to take into consideration than just simply pricing it and throwing it on the market and letting it go. You got to make sure it looks good. It's got to be appealing. Really got to hit that first impression well. And what I was starting to get to is some of the improvements. That's more of a case-by-case basis. That's where you want to talk to a good, experienced real estate agent that understands this, that isn't lazy, that's willing to take furniture out for photographs, that's willing to not rush things, but do them right, so that we make sure that we get you the most amount of money. Give me a call. If you've got a house you're thinking about selling and you're not sure what to do, what not to do, give me a call. I'd be more than happy to come in, take a look at your house, make some recommendations of things that aren't super expensive, that are simple, that are manageable, that can make a big difference to the bottom line and the amount of time that your home is on the market. I'm happy to help. Again, I'm Dan Northcutt with the American Dream Company. And remember, condition and staging, very important in selling a home. And that's the second part of our 7-part module. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, give me a call. I'm at 619-701-0019. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.